Welcome back to Midnight Murmurs, the channel that brings you soothing stories to help you unwind and drift off to sleep. Today's story is a timeless classic that has captured the hearts of readers for over a century, The Secret Garden, by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Set in the early 20th century, this story follows the journey of Mary Lennox, a young girl who moves from India to England to live with her uncle, and discovers a mysterious garden that transforms her life. So sit back, relax, and let yourself be transported to the magical world of The Secret Garden. Chapter 1, Mary Lennox. The story begins in India, where we meet the protagonist, Mary Lennox. Mary is a spoiled and selfish child who has been neglected by her parents and left to the care of servants. She has never known love or affection, and has grown into a sour and unpleasant little girl. However, when a cholera outbreak claims the lives of her parents and the servants, Mary is sent to England to live with her uncle, Archibald Craven. Chapter 2, Misselthwaite Manor. Mary arrives at Misselthwaite Manor, her uncle's estate, and is greeted by Mrs. Medlock, the housekeeper. Mrs. Medlock is a stern and no-nonsense woman who tells Mary that she is to be kept out of sight and out of mind. Mary is shown to her new room, which is cold and uninviting, and starts to feel lonely and miserable. Chapter 3, The Secret Garden. One day, while exploring the grounds of the manor, Mary hears about a secret garden that has been locked up for 10 years. She becomes curious and sets out to find the garden. With the help of a robin, she discovers the hidden door and enters the garden. The garden is overgrown and neglected, but Mary sees its potential and decides to bring it back to life. Chapter 4, Dickon. While working in the garden, Mary meets a young boy named Dickon, who is a kindred spirit and shares her love of nature. Dickon is the brother of one of the maids at Misselthwaite Manor, and he has a way with animals that amazes Mary. Dickon becomes Mary's first friend at the manor, and together they work to bring the garden back to life. Chapter 5, Colin Craven. Mary also learns about her cousin Colin, who is the son of Archibald Craven. Colin is said to be an invalid, and has been confined to his room for his entire life. Mary is intrigued by Colin, and becomes determined to meet him. With the help of Dickon, she sneaks into Colin's room, and the two children become friends. Chapter 6, Healing Powers of the Garden. As Mary, Dickon, and Colin work on the garden, they discover its healing powers. Colin starts to believe that he might not be an invalid after all, and begins to walk and run. Mary also starts to change, and becomes less selfish and more caring. The garden transforms not only the land, but also the people who tend to it. Chapter 7, Archibald Craven. Mary's uncle Archibald Craven is a recluse who is consumed by grief and guilt over the death of his wife, Lily. Lily died in the garden, and Archibald has locked it up as a result. When he learns that the garden has been brought back to life, he becomes curious and starts to visit it. As he spends time in the garden, he begins to heal from his pain and finds as she stood there, she noticed a small keyhole on the door. It seemed to her that it was the key to the garden, and she became determined to find the key. She searched high and low, but could not find it. Eventually, she found the key under some dirt, and excitedly went back to the garden to try it in the door. To her great joy, the key turned in the lock, and the door creaked open. As she stepped inside, she was amazed at what she saw. The garden was more beautiful than she had ever imagined. The grass was a bright green, and flowers of every color imaginable were in full bloom. Birds chirped and flitted about, and butterflies danced on the breeze. It was a magical place, and Mary knew that she had to keep it a secret. Over the following days, Mary spent all her free time in the secret garden, tending to the plants and making it even more beautiful. She was so happy and content there that she forgot all about her illness and the sadness that had plagued her since coming to the manor. One day, she met a boy named Dickon who knew all about gardens and the animals that lived in them. They quickly became friends, and he showed her how to care for the plants and animals in the garden. Together, they worked to make the garden even more beautiful. As time passed, Mary became healthier and happier. She continued to explore the garden and learn its secrets, and soon discovered that there was another secret hidden within the walls of the manor. It was the story of her sickly cousin, Colin, who was said to be even sicker than Mary had been. Determined to help Colin, Mary convinced Dickon to help her sneak him out to the secret garden. They spent hours there, and Colin's health began to improve. He became happier and more active, and his once weak legs grew stronger. As the summer drew to a close, Mary realized that she would soon have to leave the manor and return to India. She knew that she would miss the secret garden and her new friends, but she was content in the knowledge that she had brought joy and health to those she had touched. Years later, Mary returns to the manor, and she finds that the secret garden is still there, still beautiful and full of life. It is a testament to the power of love and nature, and to the ability of one young girl to make a difference in the world. As the story draws to a close, we see Mary walking away from the manor, with the secret garden behind her. But we know that it will always be there, waiting for the next person to discover its magic and its power to heal.